Marrying an INFJ is not for the weak. And it's not so important for other people to recognize this. This is important for us as INFJs to recognize. So if it comes to marriage, if it comes to long-term relationships, what we as INFJs look for in those partnerships is very unique. It is something that can bring a lot of value for the people in our lives, but it also comes with a lot of requirements. And the biggest hurdle that I found before I got married was to recognize that this is not something that is negotiable. It is also not something that you have to make other people understand. People are either ready when they meet you or they're not. What I've found is that INFJs so often try to find their solution in another partner, or they think they're going to be the solution for the other person. But none of it works. Every single time we get into relationships, because our partner or potential partner is the key to our evolution, it is most likely not going to work out. So let's talk today about what it takes to be married to an INFJ, how this is not something that other people have to grow into. It is something you either already have or you don't, and how we as INFJs have to learn to stop wasting our time on people who are not the person who we need them to be. Before we get started, I want to remind you, if you haven't done this so far, to download the free poster on the INFJ Epic Life formula and take advantage of the amazing October promotion on the bundle of the INFJ Epic Life audio guide and the ebook. You can get the bundle at an amazing promotional price only in October, so take advantage of it. Everything you need to know you can find through the links in the description. So the first thing everybody has to understand when they get with an INFJ is that INFJs are incredibly deep. That does not mean, and I have to repeat myself, that does not mean that the other person has to be as deep as we are. Not at all. But, and here's the kicker, you have to be willing and able to be around an INFJ who is deep. Why is that a problem? I can tell you why. So my husband is an ISTJ, for example, completely different setup, like cares about completely different things, but he's okay with himself. So when I show up authentically, when I show my deeper side, it doesn't trigger him. It is not something that he shies away from. It's not a mirror that makes him uncomfortable, because he's already found himself. He's already good where he's going. He's proud of the person he's becoming. And so therefore it's not a problem. So often as INFJs, we trigger other people and then we think it's our problem. And the reason why we think it's our problem is because we encounter it so often. But just because we encounter it so often, that does not mean that this is something we have to change. What we have to learn is that most people are not okay with themselves. And so therefore, if you show up in an authentic way that is deep, it will trigger a lot of people. And you cannot really be with those kind of people. It is a recipe for disaster. So how can we overcome this? The best way to overcome this is to not hide who you are. I remember I had this phase before I met my husband where I made it a point to show everybody that I was meeting, this is who I am. These are the things I care about, and this is what I want out of life. Are you somebody who looks at life the same way? What are you looking for in a partner? Where are you headed in your life? Whatever it may be. And most people directly were where's this coming from? I'm just looking around, and I'm just, taking a day at a time. Good for you, man. Just not what I'm looking for. I don't have a problem with people being in the moment and enjoying life. I have really good friends who go through life this way, but they don't have a problem with me either. What I'm suggesting here is show as much of your depth as soon as possible. The people who get scared off by that, or the people who think that's too much for me or that's too weird, they should really filter themselves out. That way you're not wasting your time with people who are not able to meet you where you're at. If we continue to go through life thinking that there's something wrong with us, we're always going to kind of negotiate around and think yeah, but come on, meet me here and so on. No. This is who I am, take it or leave it. If you don't want to have this in your life, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not like being with an INFJ is the better choice. It's just what I need is not something the other person can provide. And so let's part on good terms and everything's okay. So our depth is not only something that other people have to accept, but it is often something that can also help other people. It gets them out of their comfort zone. It challenges them, but only to the extent that they have met themselves. So if you are not allowed to be yourself without triggering them, I promise you that is not the person for you. You want somebody who already from the get-go is what do you mean? You're just a normal person. I don't even have a problem with that. I don't see what you're talking about when you say, oh, other people have a problem with this. That's the kind of energy we're looking for. INFJs have a high standard in love. So this is something that I think we have to talk about more in detail, because very often it sounds like we need somebody who's very romantic with us or who like creates that soul bond with us. I don't think that that is the main thing that INFJs crave. INFJs are really good at being themselves. They're really good at showing up as authentically as they can be, and they make space for other people to be authentically them. And that is the kind of standard that INFJs set out. We want what is best for the other person, and we want somebody who also wants the best for us. So if you're with somebody and you feel like they're constantly in a competition with you because there are certain things that they haven't figured out about themselves, something that they kind of have to prove to themselves, that is not the way to go. Love is about acceptance. Love is about setting healthy boundaries. And this is something that we just need. So don't ever please settle for people where you know they're not willing or able to give you that level of respect, because they're just not there yet, or maybe never will be. And every single time you get stuck on those situations asking why it's not happening, although you have this great chemistry or you have similar interests, waste of time. It is not what we need. And as long as this one aspect is missing, it will never be enough for a long-term relationship for us. INFJs have a need for space and for reflection. So I myself, as somebody who needs a lot of time for myself, if I would be with somebody who needs to do everything with me, that is just not going to work out. And this is really a unique trait. So very often we think as INFJs, we want somebody who's with us in a space, but at the end of the day, we want them to be in their world, to do their thing, and then we are in our world and do our thing, and this kind of like works together. There are couples who thrive on doing everything together, on having similar interests, on, having the same friendship groups and all of that. This is most likely not the case for INFJs. So if you have somebody who needs this in their life and they need their partner to be everywhere with them, it's probably going to cause a problem. And at the same time, we don't really need that much for our partner to be part of our life. We want them to be able to listen to our life, to have an open mind, and to have enough interest in what's going on in our life. But what we need most of all is space. I have relatives, for example, that I know I can't be with for a longer periods of time because they cannot provide me that space, because they just like overtake everything. Like I need to be able to have a lot of space for myself. I need to have a lot of time to reflect, to do things on my own with my own energy without having people override all of that. And the sooner we as INFJs recognize that this is a need of ours and we demand it, the easier it is for other people to actually fulfill it and to really ask themselves, is this something that I can work with, or is it something that doesn't work for me? Again, this is not something from the sorts of, oh, this is better or worse than the other thing. It's just about transparency. The more you know yourself and the more you know that you need this, the easier it is to communicate it to the other person and to kind of like just figure out sooner than later, is this compatible or not? Fierce loyalty and protectiveness. So this is even more so that we are protective of other people. And then we might get really disappointed if people don't act the same way towards us. By definition, if somebody is part of our team, if somebody is part of, our tribe, then we're going to be the biggest protectors. This is not even coming from a place of like physical protection necessarily. And, for example, in the typical heterosexual relationships, okay, the man is the provider and like the protector and all of that, like those cliches. Even I, as a woman, I have a sense of protectiveness for the people that I love. I want to protect them from harm. I want to protect them from emotional pain. I think this is one of the things that most INFJs can agree on, that we want to prevent other people from suffering, particularly people that we care about. And we have to be really aware of it, because it can lead us to actually taking on too much pain. It can lead us to protecting others and our partner more than we protect ourselves. And this can be very, risky and dangerous. So that's why you need a partner who can actually take their fair share. So I've learned in certain situations that I feel, okay, if I would share this with my husband, that's an information that would make him not feel good. But if I keep it to myself, then I'm the only one who's carrying that pain. It is something that maybe has nothing to do with me. And earlier when I was younger, I kind of like shielded the people around me from truth, so they wouldn't get hurt. But therefore I was kind of like, suffering on behalf of them. And I've learned to kind of like share that and to not overextend myself when it comes to protecting others around me from emotional pain. And you have to have somebody at your side who can actually take that pain, who's willing to stand in that discomfort, because a lot of people cannot do this. They will start getting aggressive with you. They will feel too ashamed and kind of like push it back on you, although you're probably not the main reason for this emotional pain that is occurring. But like, you need somebody who's at your side, who's able to handle a certain level of emotional pain, because otherwise, just by default, we will want to protect the other person to an extent that is not healthy. And if you're in a relationship where you feel like the only reason why it's working is because I'm shielding them from the truth of what I've been taking on, from the truth of who I actually am, because showing them actually what I've been taking on because I don't think that they can handle it. Once you show this to somebody, it can really break somebody. It's like a hard thing to swallow. So you never want to get into that situation, not only because of the pain that you're causing once you reveal it, but because it takes such a toll on you as an INFJ. So no, if you're an INFJ, look for partners who can take their share of emotional pain, and who can handle standing in shame, like dealing with guilt and all of that, just as much as you have to make sure that you yourself are not taking on too much. Some people can grow from it, others can't, but don't ever feel like the only way this is working is if I take on more than my fair share. It's not going to work, and it's not healthy for anybody. And last but not least, we as INFJs need growth-oriented partnerships. So I remember one of the first things I shared with my now husband when it comes to partnerships was, I am somebody who wants to grow, and I want somebody at my side who also wants to grow. Because if you're with somebody who has a problem with that, they will resent you for wanting to grow. And this is not just about, oh, I want to be more successful or I want to experience new things all the time. They have to be okay with you going at your pace, and it has to be something that doesn't trigger them. So I have experienced friendships, romantic interests, like relatives who have not been able to be around me to such an extent because it actually triggered all the parts of them that they are not tapping into. I wanted to go into this and I never did, and I start and then I back off. And then you see the INFJ, on the other hand, working on themselves, getting better, becoming more authentically themselves, living their INFJ epic life. And when you're surrounded by somebody like this, it is very hard if this is something that doesn't just inspire you, but actually makes you resentful. So you want somebody who's either inspired by that or somebody who's already growing when you meet them. Those are the two scenarios that work. And yes, people can get inspired by it. I've seen it even with close relatives, but you see this quite quickly. So again, this is the area where I'm really encouraging every INFJ, don't hide who you are. Don't hide your ambition. Don't hide your inner strength. Don't hide your hunger for life, because that's what it is. This is not about anything else but wanting to enjoy life and to really experiencing it all through our lens. It will look differently for us than for other people. We're probably not going to be the typical, hustler and all of that. And that might work for them and like good for them. And that's all great. As long as the way I am really tapping into who I want to be is not something that triggers you to an extent that makes you shy away. If that's the case, then, maybe we can be acquaintances or we can be friends at a bigger psychological distance, but that is probably not the person that you're going to have a long-term successful partnership with. So if that all motivated you to go for what you want, for the relationships that you want, for the goals you want to set and achieve in your life on your terms, then use the opportunity of the October bundle and get the INFJ Epic Life audio guide and the ebook. They're both the combination of all the things that I've learned that have helped me to get started with my journey. The ebook is the basis of it all. I wrote it before I started the channel. I wrote it when I was going through like one of the biggest transitions in my personal life. And the audio guide is really the accumulation of everything that has helped me to get that momentum started and really make it concrete in my life. It has helped thousands of INFJs throughout the last years, and it can help you as well. Everything you need to know about the bundle and how to get started today, you can find through the link in the description. And if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then check out the video you see on the screen right now. I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.